Hello, beautiful peasants, and welcome in to the TAVERB. It's been a good week around here. I probably noticed this is not ZBrush, this is Marvelous Designer, and that's been a big part of my week so far. Also, sorry if my camera looks slightly off. It wouldn't turn on, and then I realized there was an update, and then it changed all my settings, and I'm like, we're not gonna fix that right now. It's good enough. But yeah, this is marvelous. I don't know what I'm doing, and that's partly why I thought it'd be fun to stream. I think there's a lot you can learn from someone that is learning. Obviously, don't copy the same steps I'm doing because there's probably a better way to do it. But just seeing the way that I troubleshoot things and break down a brand new software, I really haven't spent a whole lot of time in Marvelous. If I had to give it a number, I mean, we're under 10 hours still. We're still very, very brand new. So I'm excited to share that with you guys. I have tested out. Oh, thank you, honey. He was like, camera looks great. Lipstick looks so pink. I would never wear this color. In real life, it's this luscious red. Actually looks just like my headphones, but whatever. I guess it's fine. Okay. I hope you guys have been having a good week, though. Hello to Max Paint, Just Lingual, Sean's Empress, and my husband, Ricky. How are all y'all doing? How's your week been? Tell me all about it. I know it's only Wednesday, but for me, it really feels like a Friday. I don't have my Keycaster up right now. I also am trying to figure out Marvelous, so I'm not going to have that one live today, holding my keystrokes, because I literally am wrong 100% of the time. And I'd feel so bad, so I'm trying to follow this, and I'm like, don't. Just Lingual says, I am partially colorblind, so I think it's a great lip color. Oh, thank you. Silly. All right, something really interesting that I might as well just show you guys instead of describing it is we are starting to combine ZBrush, Character Creator 4, and Marvelous all in one. And I haven't found anyone that is doing this process the exact same way that I am, which means Ricky and I was sitting on the floor next to the computer because I'm an urchin that or my desk is right here. I was just sitting on the floor right there because that's where Ricky is. And he had Character Creator 4 up, I had Marvelous up, and we just kept sending files back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, trying to find a workflow, and we did get to work. So I will show you my first project that I have worked on. It is like a Roman senator with some drapery. And again, you guys are about to see baby Mia art, so this should be fun. I don't remember where I have my files right now, so this is going to be a hoot. I think I kept it in here. Yeah, first MD project _ toga. It's not a toga though. I don't know why I called it that. But yeah, this is the first thing I started to work on. If you're not familiar with like garment design and stuff, this is going to be a really fun stream for you. More than usual. All right, I can't deal with his Chad colorness. I can't figure out how to get rid of his tennis shoes. Don't worry about it. All right, so I can come over to the avatar here. That's what this little icon does. And you can actually change the color. I find that the monochrome is a lot less disturbing. So I usually go for that. But I created everything here. Essentially, these pieces right here, that's the shirt, that's the front of the shirt. This is the back of the shirt. And then these funny pieces here are actually the sleeves. This morning, I finally figured out how to make the collar. Oh, I didn't save it. Why would I save it? That'd be reasonable. But anyway, the collar looks just like this. It's just a rectangle that you pretty much sew on. I haven't fine-tuned curves or anything like that because I didn't. So new in this. But yeah, so here's kind of the magic of it. Let me change the color of this drapery piece so I can kind of show you guys a little bit more about how the simulation works. And again, this is gonna be really fun because I'm gonna say like, I'm gonna change the color, and then ZBrush, I would already have it done. And then Marvelous, I'm like, what the fuck has happened? Give me a second. I'm pretty sure you double click fabric and then it brings up a new window that looks just like the old window, but it's different. And then, yeah, here we go, color. So I'm gonna make this a rich kind of pink. Why is it changing both of them? Apply and close. Maybe you have to make a new one. So I'm gonna click add fabric. Oh yeah, so now I have two. Okay. Now, I mean, they already looked like separate. Oh, I see. I can change the fabric type here. So let me go back to this garment here, and I can here's my fabric piece, and I can go back to fabric 2, and that's going to change the color, but also the material. Which, what does that mean? Well, I can simulate whether it's like denim, leather, or that kind of thing. But essentially, yeah, what you just saw, like that little tiny bit of troubleshooting, that's exactly how I want my students to learn ZBrush or Marvelous. I had a specific question, and then I tried to do it, and then it didn't work. And so I just broke down what did work and what didn't work. That's part of the fun, so I guess. Oh, let me read your updates. Max says, I'm okay. I'm hectically getting everything together for uni. Oh, that's right. I'm so excited for you. Just take it, one day at a time. University is, a lot, so one day at a time. Hello, Infra says, pretty good over here. A lot of projects going, and now we're in Sculptober, and a lot of challenges are popping up. This is true. Very cool. Oh, hello, Monkey. Yeah, you would, Monkey, there's a free trial for Marvelous. I highly recommend downloading it and having fun with it. Just Lingle mentions canonically, Greek gods wore tennis shoes. If they didn't, then why would not he be a popular brand? You heard it here first, folks. Empress has a question. Oh, no worry, Paint, no worry. Empress, what is your question? Okay. So here is the 3D window, hence why it looks 3D, and here is our 2D window. I'm gonna improve the rendering a bit. There's a button under my lamp that you can't see that I can kind of change or toggle the lighting. Oh, what the heck is that? I clicked the new button. No. Anyway, so I'll be toggling this on and off throughout the stream just to help with the simulation. And then the way you start the simulation is you simply click on spacebar and it will start to jiggle. I can then use my mouse and I can grab and drag stuff. There's no way I can hear you guys at home, but I just know my peasants straight up went, ooh. I swear I could collectively hear it. Oh man. Emperor says, why Marvelous over whatever other alternative programs? There really isn't. Blender has cloth simulation. ZBrush has cloth simulation. The only really competitor to Marvelous is, I think, Clo 3D, which is actually also created by the same company, if I'm not mistaken. So Marvelous is the program, to put simply. There's Paint, yeah. Ooh. But yeah, so that's how you do it. So what we're doing, you guys already know that I pose, or Ricky poses in Character Creator 4. What we have learned how to do yesterday while sitting on the floor was pretty much keying the A pose we have here as frame 1, and then frame 2 being the final pose. You can't actually do key poses or keyframes in Character, but anyway, we have those 2 pieces, and you can put them into Marvelous, and it will make a little animation of it getting into that pose, and I can let the fabric fall accordingly. So let me see if I can actually do that. I don't think I can because I don't have the right avatar in right here, and that's not what the stream is about. But I just think this is so exciting, and I want to show you guys as much as possible. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna like this because yeah, the avatar is different. Yeah, that's fine. I know how to fix this. I just don't want to get too distracted on this one thing. But yeah, that's what we have been doing. Let me put this back up here. It's gonna be really cool. And if you're wondering, you're like, wait a minute, isn't this fabric way too thin? It's the way I'm designing this is exactly like how I design in ZBrush, which means it doesn't exist. It is single pane, single faced, non-existent, which is perfect because that's how I design already. I saw Monkey's screenshot of me like, what is happening? Because like I'm gonna be breaking buttons regularly here. That's kind of part of it. Oh, hello, Rat Girl. Thank you for the shout out on Patreon. That was very, very sweet. And congrats on getting your own up and running. Congrats, congrats. What else? Empress says, wait, the same company owns both? I think so. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think so. They're so similar. But yeah, this is the software we're gonna be playing with today. I thought it'd be fun to try to design this. I know I can design this in ZBrush. I really don't know the first thing on how to get this done in Marvelous, but I managed to do this like toga thing, so I'm feeling optimistic. I do have some sewing experience, and the best way that I learned how to sew and to create my own patterns was to take existing clothes that I have and seam rip them apart. And what does that mean? It literally means like this black shirt I have right here, there's a seam that runs from my wrist. You can kind of see like the thread here, and it comes all the way down to my armpit. So I know if I seam rip this, I'm going to have a top panel to the sleeve and a bottom panel to the sleeve. And then they join in this very confusing, harder than you expect, slot around the shoulder. So yes, what I mean by that is I'm probably going to take garments that are in Marvelous. You click this little fun icon at the upper right here, you can kind of pull up their like connect. It's like a marketplace. There's better deals in ArtStation, but this is so cool to look at. Anyhow, but I'll probably bring in some outfits that I have found online, deconstruct those, and kind of see where we're at. But in the meantime, how fun is this? Oh, I want to show you one more thing with the drapery and whatnot. So you guys notice I'm picking it up and I'm setting it down a lot. Well, obviously that gets old. You can create pins. So in order to do that, go ahead and simulate, click and drag somewhere where you want it roughly. Press spacebar to stop the simulation. And then holding down W, I believe it is, and clicking. Yes, do you see that little yellow zit I applied? That is now going to stick that into place. And what's really cool about pins is that you don't have to respect like gravity. You can put it literally anywhere. This is different than tacking, which is like where you can pin it fabric to itself or to the avatar itself, which is located right, where the fuck is it? Here it is. There. I can't figure out how to use tacking yet. I don't know why. To be continued on that. But for now, pins work. You just hold down W and click. Paint. Oh my god, this is sick as hell, Mia. Isn't it so cool? Oh, I knew you guys would be excited. Monkey says, I'm totally basing my decision whether or not I pick up Marvelous and add to my workflow, depending on Mia. Oh, I'm honored, honestly. Mia needs to get an affiliate link with them. Oh, you guys are sweet. You guys are very sweet. Oh yeah, and hello. We have Sculptober is live. Check that out on our Discord. You guys are already in the Discord under project references. We have the TAVERB form right now, but right under that is M3DM Sculptober. So go check that out. Just Lingle put something in there. He made a peasant cap. Any level of effort. That is so important. So I'm going to say that today. I'm pretty much tackling Mistress or Mystic Madame. Honestly, this outfit gives both. All right, well, it's enough talking, I think. I mean, I'm also showing y'all stuff. Oh, I want to show you one more thing, because I really want to try to show you as much as possible while I still, on what I understand. Okay, so I'm pretty sure you can delete pins by clicking on it and then delete. Haha, it actually worked. Yay! Okay, I will say, Marvelous is about 1.2 million times easier than learning ZBrush. I might be deeply biased because, again, I do have a background in sewing. I know how to construct garments and stuff, and this just feels like so intuitive. Or I don't know if I was just extra dumb when I learned ZBrush. I don't know. It's been really easy for me. Maybe it could be easy for you too. The tutorials are ass, like everything else out there. I have not found many tutorials that I liked, so keep that in mind. Also, Marvelous thinks it's adorable to change their UI like every 6 months. Yeah, but it's one of those softwares, if you don't watch any tutorials, you literally just sit down and just try to do stuff. You'll get farther than you think, probably. So yeah. How do we make it printable? I think like on a serious note, like how to make this 3D printable. That's what's so cool is you can export these as single-sided meshes, which if you guys have been following me for a while, that's exactly how I make garments in ZBrush anyway. Yeah. Hello, Satyr, welcome in. So loud in the tavern today. Well, then turn it down. Just because I have a mic that works now. And Mean Cat is here. Hello, hello. Okay, 149 typing speed, just lingual, is getting excessive. That's ridiculous. Congratulations. Okay. One more thing I want to show you guys is changing the material type. So by default, it just says default material or something, which I don't even know what that is. It's just something gauzy, something on the thinner side that'll actually show fabric folds. But you can change this. Come up to any fabric that you have. So I'm gonna pick this pink one here because we're kind of messing with this drapery here. And we'll come down to the bottom. Okay, make sure you double click it. Double clicking is a big thing in Marvelous, I've noticed. Like, I don't know, that comes up a lot. Like you have to double click on things to get it to open. Anyway. Come down to the bottom, it says preset, and you'll see all these different presets. You can make your own. Let's go to one that looks significantly different. I'm hoping, I don't know, what is memory? Some of these are much more intuitive, such as like knit, or we have some crochet, jersey, lace, that kind of stuff. I'm looking for something stiff. Oh yeah, like a denim. All right, so I selected denim instead, and now I press spacebar. See how that kind of tightened up significantly? Look how flat that is now. It's not nearly as gauzy, and it really just kind of drapes in one large section now. So yeah, you can really control exactly how the fabric is going to behave. All right, well, that's enough of seeing my little project here that I had very, very early Mia figuring out Marvelous Designer stuff. Let's, hey Wendelier, memory foam cloak, sounds good. Is slime an option? No, I don't think so. All right, Command N will open a new project. So here we go. And we are going to try to tackle bits and pieces of this. Oh, one more thing. I know I keep doing this. That's gonna be the whole stream. You can make shoes in Marvelous, which I think is insane. I'm going to grab like a default shoe because of course I haven't made one yet. Oh, I tried this one out earlier. Look, there's freaking shoes. And like, sure enough, the pattern, the way that you make them is exactly what you'd expect. I mean, this is more or less how I try to make them in ZBrush, and it drives me crazy. It's just so freaking cool. So yeah. And again, I have no fucking idea how to make shoes. I barely know how to use the program at all. But I saw there are shoes, and that's crazy. And so you can also make backpacks and stuff and pouches and all kinds of cool stuff. So yeah. You guys are so excited. I love it. Good, good. Empress says, but Mia, you have to do it from scratch all the time. Again, in Marvelous. Oh, here's one other huge feature I want to show you guys about Marvelous. And this is why I chose the program ultimately. I should have led with that. Here's something, we're going to make it funny, because if it's not funny, what's the point? What's a good silly example? You guys are like, I don't know, what's the example? Just bear with me. Yeah, we'll pick some, you know, it can be a pretty example. The male avatars in this freak me out, and the female avatar, one of the base names is Mia, which I think is hysterical, so we're gonna work on Mia. Okay, I'm gonna change it to where she's not textured because I think that's horrifying. All right, so we have this avatar, right? What's really cool is that when you make a garment on an avatar that has a fitting suit, and a fitting suit just means, see how the topology is most like evenly wrapped around here? You do see that it kind of falls off on the hands a little bit, which is fine. This probably wouldn't be accurate enough for like gloves, for example, but it'd be accurate enough for anything else. Anyway, avatar, the thing you're putting clothes on. Fitting suit, this mesh that kind of sits around the avatar. Why is a fitting suit so cool? I'll show you. What it means, oh, I can put my toga on it. Here, awesome, all right. The toga that you guys saw that I made earlier, it's fitted on a man, right? But I can bring it in here, and because I designed it on something that has a fitting suit, it should, I've never tried this, watch it not work, it should fit to her. So right now you can tell that it's just kind of sitting on top of her. It happens to line up, but it doesn't fit. You can redrape right here. See that little like person icon with a little orange shirt? If you click on that, it should re-simulate the fabric to fit this body. It's a little big, obviously, but you see how it actually sat on this model. Again, I made this garment way too big, and you can tell this is a Mia construction issue, because Mia doesn't know what she's doing yet, but I will. But anyway, this is actually really cute on her. Kind of reminds me of like, I don't know, for me, like if I put on my husband's t-shirts. Again, it's not going to resize the garment, but it's going to fit it accordingly. I can do a better example here. I was just excited that I made something, so I wanted to try it. But here's a better example. This is what's more likely to happen because it actually lined up somewhat accurately. Let's grab an outfit that I found on ArtStation. Here we go. This is really pretty. I'm gonna drag this in, click on add, deselect avatar because we don't need that. And you don't want to say open because it'll just overwrite your avatar. You're adding a garment, add garment. Don't worry about translation. You don't need to worry about where it's located in the scene because you're going to redrape it. Click OK. It's going to add this piece in. You'll see the pattern appear in the 2D view on the right, and then you're going to see how it doesn't, maintain current avatar size and pose. Yes. You'll see how it's not sitting on her. See how it's kind of clipped through? That's not a very cute look, is it? And that's where the fitting suit comes in. While this is resimulating, I'm going to tell you what this giant circle is. It's a skirt. So if you've ever heard of like a circle skirt, it's because it's literally just a circle of fabric. And the way that you get folds and like these really beautiful pleats and stuff like that is simply having more fabric attached to a smaller line. Does that make sense? But yes. Oh, thank you, Satyr. Poof. Oh my God, Crocs. I'm not gonna make Crocs in Marvelous or any software. It is a good TAVERB day. Yeah, we got Rat Girl and Satyr. No Reaper yet. It's okay. Maybe later. She mentioned she's having internet issues. Oh, I didn't create this with a fitting suit first. Anyway, you get our points. Oh, Also, if you hold Shift F, you get all of these like attachment points where you can further refine designs. Pretty cool stuff. Frat Girl said, Empress, I'd be surprised if they don't let you import your sculpt from ZBrush. You can. Yeah, you can import that. Whether it will create a fitting suit the first time is a little more of a toss-up. Sometimes it kind of fights that. I am so mad that this did not fit to this character the way it was supposed to. It's because the shirt is actually too small entirely. So again, it's not going to be perfect if the garment is just way too small in the first place. That being said, I put a crop top on like the super like buff muscle man just to test this yesterday, and it works. I don't know why it's not working right now. Yeah. All right. So if you want a ZBrush to Marvelous workflow, you simply take a pose or a T pose from ZBrush, have it at a low resolution, maybe around 20,000 points, and then bring that into Marvelous. Make sure your scaling is correct, and that should make a fitting suit right from the get-go. Is it a GOZ pipeline thing? No. Yeah, Matt. You know, things are never going to work as soon as someone's watching. The way that I did this like 1,000 times yesterday, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. Wow, look at this work. We're going to try it again. Oh, something else worth noting is that if you simulate with it inside of a model, it probably isn't going to simulate very well. Oh, that's pretty. Oh, let's see if it opens both. Oh, interesting. I'm learning. I'm kind of seeing things that I did wrong here too. There we go. Again, I prefer to have the avatar as monochrome because otherwise I think it's kind of eerie. I'm pressing spacebar, which will begin the simulation, and then I can kind of start to move around these pieces. It wants to think about it though, so we're not going to rush it. You can adjust how like refined the simulation is, as well as like the particle distance. And it doesn't need to be as perfect as you might think. I should have checked what the simulation was before hitting play, because this is really trying to overachieve, I think. Which is a-okay. That's why I'm excited to share this with you guys, because it's such a, I don't know, you're only incompetent at software once. You know what I mean? And I don't know, I think it'd be fun to have some of this process of me learning how to use this documented. I watched a tutorial on Marvelous just before the stream started, like 10 tips and tricks. In the way I did not understand a single tip or trick, I was like, okay, like I didn't even understand how these things would be applicable, and it kind of gave me a little more insight to when I'm teaching my students how to use ZBrush. And someone new is here, Riki. Hello, welcome in. Alo says, well, I was playing around with Marvelous. I took my characters and created their clothes in Marvelous, and then took them back into ZBrush to finish up the sculpt. Very nice. So would this replace sculpting and creating outfits in ZBrush for you, and ZBrush becomes the detailer, Mia? Or what's the ideal plan for you? That's probably what's going to happen. Oh, Streamlabs. Ignore Streamlabs. Anyway, however, it's just too early to say. All right, I'm gonna pause this. And I'm not even sure how much we're going to do in Marvelous today. I just wanted to show this to you guys ASAP. Obviously, ZBrush is still my true love because it just does a little bit of everything so quickly. I know, please ignore Streamlabs. I'm gonna put that user in timeout for 24 hours. Does that work? Perfect. I think I've banned Streamlabs. Oh, goodness. It's gone. Say goodbye to Streamlabs. Okay. All right. So now it's time to try to draft something using Marvelous. I'm looking at this and thinking where I'm going to start this process. There we go. And Ricky says, I'm a newbie modeler. I'm starting to make cool art for my portfolio. Oh, how cool. You fit right in. That's a lot of us here. Max is just starting uni right now, actually. I am more on the 3D printing and design side, so I've been doing this professionally for 6 years, and it's all freelance. Marvelous, I'm brand new too, so you happen to join a stream that I am figuring things out. All right, the first thing we're going to do is design this on one of the default avatars in Marvelous. And again, you can do this because it has that fitting suit. So it's going to be really nice and easy to fit it on slightly different body types. If you do something that's absolutely like a buff bodybuilder, you might have some fit issues. But it'll get you a good part of the way. All right, well, this is pretty much step one. Here is my reference. We're gonna throw that right here. And we're gonna start this off with just some pants. How hard can that be? Maybe we'll start with this shirt. My problem with this is like it's this really fancy corset, and I'm like, ooh, that feels intimidating. Oh, goodness. Oh, yes, we do have a Discord. I recently redid my stream, so we don't have a Streamlabs bot right now. But I can give you that invite right here. And yeah, of course, you are more than welcome to join. All right, so the first thing you do, you're gonna start creating like a piece of fabric. Does that make sense? I'm just gonna do it before I get good at explaining it. All right, to make a pant, I think it'd be reasonable. Just draw a rectangle. All right, here you go. So each time you create a panel in the 2D view, it's going to populate in the 3D view. You're gonna need to make a front and a back. There is a correct side of the fabric and an off side of the fabric. So you're gonna just make sure that you're aligning them accordingly. If I'm going to make a single pant leg, I feel like that will be a problem. So how can I make a symmetric pattern? If I right click on this, I know it gives me a bunch of options. Here we go, symmetric pattern. Let's see what that does. There you go, it created a little clone right here. Where you have this oriented in your 2D view is not super pressing, so don't worry about that. And again, a huge highlight on like showing how I learn new software. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm making. How can I do that? And then I find it. All right, so I have a front panels for the pants. I'm going to also need back panels for the pants. And then something else interesting is I don't want to stitch from top to bottom, otherwise I'll cut through her. I want the outside seams to match, but not the inside. So I'll need to learn how to do a partial stitch. We'll do that later. Okay. Next, I'm going to select both of these. I'm going to hit Command C, Command V, and this will be the back of the pants. I'm completely ignoring like the crotch area. We're making this very simple, which means these pants are not going to work, but we'll deal with that later. All right, so now we have another panel here, this. And this needs to be oriented correctly because right now I can't really do anything with this. So we're gonna move it over here. I don't know how to rotate something when they're both selected. Here we go. I found that little blue dot, and when I clicked on that, it created the gizmo. Neato. I'm gonna grab this green one, and I'm rotating it 180 degrees because, again, we want the off sides of the fabric to face each other. It's the same thing in sewing. You have like a pretty side and an ugly side. Yeah. There we go. So we have these two pieces here. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my first sew. I'm only going to sew the outsides currently. So I'm going to come up here to this little sewing machine. And I'm going to click on segment sewing for now. I'm going to click on this stitch here, or this side, and I'm going to go to the back. You're going to see all these little lines that populate. This is what I want to look like. Straight lines. You can screw up anything, like real life. So if I go too low or too high, it's going to twist on itself, which you might want for certain purposes, but this is not one of those. Again, you're gonna double click, which is odd. It comes up again a lot in Marvelous. So again, I'm gonna click on one side, come to the other side, double click. I think it's just going to pull back onto itself. However, it's also gonna just fall to the ground because there's nothing keeping it from falling to the ground. So what I'm gonna do is press spacebar to see if these stitches even worked in the first place. They did, yay! See these pieces of fabric? They joined together. I'm gonna hit Command Z, and then I'm also going to create a band so they don't just fall off of her. I need to create some sort of belt first. We're gonna do that. I'm gonna hide these so they're not part of the simulation. So I'm gonna click on the select tool, Command Shift click, just like any other software, and then right click. I should be able to hide these somewhere. Right? Yes, hide 3D pattern. There. Perfect. And now we'll create that belt, which will have a front and a back. All right, next up, we're going to create that little like belt band. I'm gonna click, so there's an internal shape and just normal shape. The internal shapes are for like, think of like darts or stitches that you were collecting fabric on, or like a bit of elastic you would add onto a garment. So if you're playing with Marvelous, stay away from internal unless you know what you're doing. It's just stay with the shapes. Stay with the shapes. All right, shape, rectangle. I'm gonna just click and drag roughly what looks like her waistline. That looks about right. Yes, you can do precise measurements and stuff. I just don't feel like I need to do that yet. Awesome, so I have this front piece, Command C. I now have another piece, and then we'll move that just like before. Throw that in the back. Perfect, and now let's stitch this together. I'm gonna grab my sewing machine, click one side, click to the other. And again, I'm doing this because I realize if there's not a pant or something, they will just fall off. Is there a better way to do this? Probably. All right, so it immediately cinched way up to like the smallest part of her waist because the band is quite small. So let's fix that. I'm gonna look at my 2D view here. Click the letter Z allows me to edit a pattern. And I'm just going to make these a tiny bit longer. If I want them to be exact, I can click on one side, hold shift, click on the other, right click, and you have this really cool thing called match up. I can click match measurement and make sure they both are the longest side. I happen to make them the exact same length, so it didn't do anything. Anyway, you'll see that in the 3D viewer, it's now also a bit longer. If I resimulate, it will start to fall down the model a little bit. We are getting some weird twisting, and that's where you kind of like just pull on these pieces until it sits better. There we go. Awesome. All right, I love how I picked pants. I know how to make shirts. I've never made a pant before, and now I'm like, this is complicated. Because how am I going to connect the top of the pants to the belt? I don't know. I'm just trying stuff. I'm going to select these again and hopefully get everything to show back. I said it was Shift Q. That's not doing anything. Oh, here we go. I don't have the right tool selected. That's why. Now I'll go back and click Show 3D Pattern, and there it is on the floor because it's still simulated. How do I undo a simulation other than Control Z? This right click seems to be my best friend. So I'm gonna right click and see if there's anything that says like reset joints almost, or like just unsimulate. Okay, there's reset 2D arrangement and reset 3D arrangement. I bet that will do it. There you go. Again, everything that when you're dealing with learning a new software, just make sure you're asking a coherent question instead of like, how do I make pants? You're gonna be a lot more specific than that. Interesting. Kind of just messing with this here. because I'm not sure how this is going to connect to this belt. Oh, this is interesting. Maybe I want to unsimulate the belt as well, now that I know how to do that. Click on this, right click, and then they don't call it unsimulate. They say like reset 2D pattern or something. Oh, I probably would need to do it in the 3D viewport then, huh? So it's sensitive, like it's contextual, whether you open the, like do the right click menu on the 2D view or the 3D view. Learning. So I'm gonna reset 3D arrangement. There we go. I imagine you don't want to simulate too many things at the same time. You might get some funny business, but I want to see how bad it would be. I'm going to try free sewing instead of a segment to really have more control over how this is going to fit. Can I connect it to that? It seems like it doesn't want me to interact with this up here because it has like a pending simulation. So let's let that simulate first. And this is why like tutorials are great and all, but nothing beats just being patient and clicking through a software. And as you get hung up asking specific questions like in a forum or a community. So we're gonna hide this 3D pattern. There we go. Perfect. And then we'll show this again. And it simulated like before, even though it's hidden. I don't love that. I wonder if I hide something, I think it should not simulate. That's the point of hiding it. No matter, I will find out the way to do that later too. All right, back to sewing, free sewing. So click over here. So we have that segment. And again, that double click thing is popping up. Oh, interesting. Another thing I've noticed is that if you were like sewing a segment and let's say you're clicking from like the left to the right, when you go to the other garment you're going to continue on or connect to, also go left to right. Otherwise, it wants to flip over on itself. Obviously, if you're doing something upside down, maybe that wouldn't work that way. But otherwise, I think it does. So in this case, I'm going from right to left. So when I come up to this belt right here, I will do the same thing, right to left. Check that out. It's looking like a pant. Okay. Same thing here, left to right, left to right, right to left, and right to left. And then press spacebar, it should all cinch up. It's kind of falling off her butt a little bit, so I'll just pull this back up. I could also fix that by, check that out. Anyway, I could also fix that by, what's the word? The thought's gone. Hey Casey, hashtag how do I make pants? Dude, I have no idea. The way I'm ignoring the crotch area entirely. So on a real note, this is just fun because I'm trying to learn Marvelous, like the actual mechanics, but this is what you should actually do. For anyone that's watching, they're like, wait, but how do you actually do it? Just type up pant pattern, go to images. Oh, duh, here. So that's what that's supposed to look like. Because you got to have a curve, you know, for bits in your butt. There needs to be a curve there. So this is what it should look like. I simplified this and just made them giant rectangles, which is close-ish, but wrong. It is, I do recommend trying to solve it on your own first. I find that you'll remember it a little bit better. But if you're like, no learn, just know, that's fine. Google it. You know what I bet would be really complicated? One of the first things that I tried to sew with one of my friends growing up was a freaking corset. So I know what this looks like a little bit. This shit is so hard. Oh my goodness, corsets are complicated. It's so many, here we go, this is on Etsy. And this looks about right. Yes, about what we did. Here we go. So many stinking panels. Ugh. Corsets are hard. But yes, this is how you really should also learn Marvelous, is looking at the actual pattern looks like and then doing that. Because you're not going to reinvent the freaking wheel, okay? It's roughly going to look the same. I do like this big like slit in the side leg here. I think that could actually be really cool. Oh, also clicking number 2 will snap your viewport. I found that this is 1, 2, 3. It's quite nice. You can sew in the 2D viewer or the 3D viewer. I just think the 2D viewer is confusing because it's new to me. So I'm mostly sewing in the 3D, but I could see it being easier in the 2D for certain things. All right, we're gonna sew the sides of the pant together. There's one side. Oh, you know what I've created a pattern for? A long skirt. That is what I've made. I've made a long pencil skirt. You know what, I'm fine with that. We're gonna just pivot. Something else that I think really benefited me and helped me learn ZBrush really quickly is I would pivot. If Empress does this all the time, and I love that about it, because it reminds me of when I was learning so much too. Don't be too married to the thing that what you're trying to create when you're just learning. Maybe you realize, oh, I just created a skirt. Roll with it. Make that the best damn skirt you can. I love that, except it's falling off of her, so I don't love that. We are going to stop simulation. I think I can just click. I can select like the whole garment and then just move it up. How do I do that? How do I like drag a box the way I do this? Oh, interesting. If you select things in the 2D viewer, it also selects it in the 3D viewer. That's good to know. All right, so I'm going to move it up a little bit, and then I'm going to make the waistband smaller. I need to move this reference out of the way because I'm obviously not making that. Sorry. We will do that in a little bit. I'll probably do like a little speed run in ZBrush. Let's make this a little smaller. That's probably way too small. And I didn't change them symmetrically. So I'm going to hold Shift, click on both of these lines, and make sure they match up. Why is it so painful just to select something correctly the first time? That took me 3 times. Oh my god. All right, match too short. Okay. Nice. All right, you can see that it is smaller in the viewport here. It is a little twisted, so we'll see how the sewing does. Press spacebar to simulate. And it did not blow up. Yay! Oh, sounds good, Monkey. Thanks for being here. And then Monkey says, you got any tutorials you would suggest I watch? For Marvelous? No, they're all pretty ass, honestly. I haven't found any that I super liked. Granted, I am crazy picky with tutorials. So, that's just because I'm a bad student. Select all of these again. Oh, this time it didn't bring up the gizmo to move it. Oh, because it's still simulating. Things to check for. All right, simulate again. There we go, look how nice that's fitted. Awesome. Oh, I'm feeling really proud about that. Guys, I made a skirt. Cool. I wonder if I can make this fit even better by making it elastic, because I can't imagine how uncomfortable this would be wearing something that's perfectly fitted to my waist. The girls know what I'm talking about, right? Like, you have jeans that fit really well, but they're like standing jeans. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, if everything could just be elastic, I think life would be easier. So let me see if there's a way to make these elastic. I selected them. I feel like I should only be selecting a line probably. Probably just the top line. So I'm gonna select those and look down here, and I guarantee there's something I can do to manipulate behavior. And change the geometry. Here's the particle distance, and that's why I think Marvelous froze previously, because I think the particle distance was too low. I'm pretty sure the lower the particle distance, the more dense the simulation would be. Yeah, there we go. Look, there's an elastic. So if I click on that, what happens? Nothing. Oh, maybe I need to simulate it. Nothing happens. Okay, is it because it's already fitting her well? Or is it because I don't know what I'm doing? Or is it both? Let's try it on the bottom because it's a little more open, and then I can really test that behavior. I'm holding down Shift to select multiple lines. I guess I don't need to select both because they're symmetrical, so I can just select this edge here in this one, and that will do the entire bottom, I think. I clicked on elastic again. Check that out. Did you guys see that? I'm gonna undo it and redo it again because that was so cool. Elastic does work the way that I expected. The reason why I didn't do it up here, which I guess it does if you look really closely, is because it's already fitted so well to her. Oh, interesting, interesting. Rat Girl says, standing jeans are the worst. You get me. Bad student? Where? Sweats. We're alike. Don't worry. That's all I have to say. Okay. Any other questions I missed? I don't think so. And then Reaper's here. Yay. Hello. Hello. All right. That's enough of doing stuff in Marvelous because I unfortunately picked something that is way above my skill level to do in Marvelous. I just want to show you guys Marvelous. I got very excited. So we're now going to create this in ZBrush. Good old ZBrush. I'm not going to say my pencil skirt because I don't care. All right. If you are new here, because we do have a couple new viewers that are hanging out with us today, I am a ZBrush artist. That is what I do. Marvelous this is the first stream I have ever opened Marvelous, ever. So, just keeping that in mind. We're back to good old ZBrush. Excellent. Reaper says, my internet hates me today, so I don't know how long I'll be here. That is a-okay. All right, we are going to create this extremely cute outfit. This is not the file that I wanted. I think I called it start asset. There it is. I'm like, I love how I name everything the same thing. That makes my life so easy. Okay, we are going to move this over a little bit. Very good. And then I can improve the lighting a touch, but we can worry about that when we get there. There we go. Anytime I say I'm going to do the lighting later, that means I'm doing it immediately. All right. Hello and welcome. If you want to learn how to make stuff like this in ZBrush, you are in the right place. This is what I'm going to start drafting. Let's start with the pants. I did that in Marvelous, and obviously I can do it way faster in ZBrush, but it's not going to be as accurate. You do not need the male base mesh. I have them all eerie mannequin-like because they are not the star of the show today. Excellent. First thing to do is Shift F, which will show the mesh, and then you click on Mask Pen. You just mask a box. And then I extract at 0 thickness. There we are. I zero mesh as I go. Yes, clean topology is important, but that's not really why I zero mesh. I zero mesh because it is also nicer to sculpt on clean topology. We're gonna fit these a touch better to the body here. Why is everything using a mask brush right now? There we go. I will need to remap something in Marvelous. I'm realizing now that the mask brush and pan are flipped, so that's why I'm doing everything opposite. All right, we have this. Let's go ahead and get that nice green color that we see in the viewport here. It's more on the bluish side. Doesn't need to be perfect, just kind of close-ish. There we go. And then instead of blocking this out quickly, I'm actually going to detail these a little bit more. All right, there we go. I'm going to subdivide a few times, and then we're going to add some stitching here. I'm going to turn on lazy radius and select dam standard. Just going to strike a seam down the side. Turn off symmetry to create kind of like this crotch area. It does not need to be perfect. You'd be surprised. And it's not even about like, it's good enough. No, no, no. Sometimes just getting the shapes down and then refining them later is the way to go. These are pretty simple pants, so that's why we're not going to spend too much time on them either. There is a seam down the center, so let's go ahead and add that as well. There we go. And now do a light inflate to bring those seams together. Last but not least, we'll use the standard brush. And I like for these to be a little more on the exaggerated side. So I'm going to increase the Z intensity. I'm going to do all the fabric folds just using the standard brush, nothing else. Doesn't mean that you can't use other brushes, just means that I don't. That's all it means. Look at your reference. Always look at your reference. Having just one is honestly absolute bare minimum. You can kind of see the way that the fabric interacts. Resist the human, very human tendency to do stuff perfectly, like, evenly spaced. Always thinking about roughly what kind of fabric folds you're creating. With these kind of like tight legging like pants, it's going to be a lot of compression folds and not a whole lot of anything else. Now we're going to tackle these interesting folds here, and these are what I call, like, there's pretty much sculpting fabric folds, easy as XYZ, ABC kind of thing. And that's because most fabric folds you can break down to an X, Y, or Z shape. I find that the X ones are the hardest to make look nice. And that's one of the reasons why I'm excited to have Marvelous. But in this case, we'll kind of just don't cross over like this. See how it gets all blobby in the center? Draw your initial line. Kind of let it wobble a little bit too, honestly. I'm gonna turn on lazy radius. And then when you come to the center where they cross, lift up your pen. And then the biggest important part when you're doing these like X folds is you remove material as well. So if this is where the material is kind of like puckering, you're going to remove material on either side of the X like this. And you'll slowly start to see it kind of come together. I remember when I was watching really talented artists sculpt fabric folds, I remember thinking, I'm like, gosh, this looks so bad, but the thumbnail that they posted for the video looks so good. What the heck? It's kind of part of it. Just keep that in mind. And I'm not going to detail anything down here because we have boots, so let's not worry about it. Absolutely. Rackroll says, I recently grabbed the Orb free brush pack. It's been a huge game changer. Good. Yeah, that should be linked still in our Discord under resources. And then let's look at some sort of like, see how there's like that stitch right here and it kind of like pulls apart on the sides? I want to get a similar effect. Something I'm going to try here is just masking this line right here and then using my damn standard brush, kind of scribbling back and forth over it. I bet I can get a similar effect. Sure enough. Bring it a little cleaner by using the pinch brush. Excellent. Very good. I feel like my scene looks so dark right now. Let's bump up the light a little bit. There we go. All right, that is an early good start. And now it is time to create this like a corset-like piece. Similar to the pants, we're going to select the body, use mass lasso, and create that rough shape. Does not need to be perfect. Oh, also make sure that you cleared your previous mask, otherwise you're gonna have your pant shape there, and that's not very helpful. There we go. There we are. Inflate it just a touch, and then use the move brush. We're gonna fill objects and find that orange color. I don't have the actual like garment piece this is going to be, so right now we're kind of just putting in this little strike right here as a reminder for later. I'm not too concerned about the sleeves right now, because they're just going to be covered, but I do want this to be a nice reusable piece, so even though it's not going to be perfect, it's going to be nicer than no attention. It's a constant battle of finding a balance between doing enough versus obsessing. Let's go ahead and add these side belts too. To do that, I'm going to use curve strap snap. I can say that brush about half the time. The curve brush is a little funny. Sometimes I like using it with symmetry, but you're usually better off simply creating one belt and then duplicating it and moving that one around later. That's what I've had the most success with. All right, I changed my light to be a bit stronger, and I'm realizing I don't want to do that because it's making it so sensitive. So let me load in this lighting that I already had set. There we go. If you really mess with your lighting, what happens is when you choose brighter colors, they become neon. And you don't want that. I just feel like this is so dark though. There we go. There we go. That looks lovely. And let's add a little bit more detail onto this belt. I might detail each piece of the belt a little different, but they're all going to have something extruded on the side here, so I might as well do that now. Man, the curve brushes in ZBrush are just so powerful. It cannot be understated or overstated enough. All right, so we have one here. We're going to duplicate this, kind of fit another one here, and then we'll worry about adding hardware later. And then a reminder, part of these new streams is everything you see me create on stream, I will be sharing with my students after the fact in our Discord. Today might not be as pretty, but at least there's a stream to go along with it. And there'll be plenty more streams to come. All of it is intended for personal use, but that being said, if you transform it beyond recognition, I don't care if you use it for your final characters. Picking a golden brass color here for these bucklets. And again, just really not pressed about things being perfect. We're doing an in-between of like blocking out and creating reusable, nice assets. There's some sort of nice pouch or something right there that I'll probably add later. All right, so when you're creating multi-layered pieces that are form-fit, like a corset, I don't recommend extracting from the body every time in that case. In this case, spend time, really make this fit the way you want it to, and then you can duplicate this piece here, mask out a section, isolate that, delete hidden, and then you'll have a much more versatile piece that will sit on top. The most important part here, though, is that you remember to duplicate, otherwise you will lose your piece underneath. I definitely didn't just do that. There we go. And if you're wondering, like, well, what's the point of even extracting as a new piece? Why not, there we go. Why not just sculpt the detail directly on? You absolutely can, but then you lose out on the magic of like curve brushes. I'll do work for you. Let me get this fit here really roughly. Here. Go to your stroke menu, frame mesh, and then you can grab like a curve brush, like curve tube, and you just click. And there you go. You're now gonna have a nice trim piece there. You can really easily make it super skinny, super thick, and you could also use this with like lace or really anything you make into a curve brush. Rat Girl says curve brushes make me sad. Oh my goodness. Baby patient steps of learning. Everything's gonna feel so difficult until it just doesn't at some point, which I know sounds ridiculous, but it's just the truth. And zero mesh by same. There we go. So I just grabbed this panel here really quickly just to do a demonstration, but I actually don't like the way that I did that quite. So we're gonna do it again. Because it really, that orange piece, I want to come all the way up, more like that. There we go. There we go. That's what I wanted. Nope. Immediately ZBrush is like, continues to inflate. I'm like, nope, that's not what I wanted. That's because I was holding down a key that I shouldn't have been. I really want to mess with the shape of this without the base mesh being in the way. And because this is just a mannequin, I'm going to take her torso and I'm going to hide it. No torso. The default mesh that I have here that I've created is actually fairly muscular and has pretty big lats, which are those back muscles, which is not really conducive for this corset shape that I'm going for. There we go. Rat Girl says, I'm still in the hotkey soup stage of using them. Main part of the sad is knowing how useful they'll be one day. Yep, you just gotta work slow, and you gotta like enjoy, like relish the slow, and that's probably the hardest spot. Because the more you try to just push through it, you know, rapidly, the less it's gonna stick. We're making this like little fanned out shoulder piece now. There we go. And it really kind of flares out. So let's kind of refine that shape a little bit. Turn on double so I can see the back side of it too. And give it that color. There we go. I'm going to duplicate these and now create that smaller green section. Ooh, you know what? Even better than that, because that kind of changes the shape substantially. What I really want to do is duplicate this and approach this in a very similar way that I did the corset. let's get a little bit of detail on this. It's very similar to the pants where you kind of like mark out, like, well, just, you have to know what you're trying to add. So in this case, it's going to be side seams. Make sure you have symmetry turned on for that. And then kind of like these front darts. This has a very interesting shape. It kind of like swoops down, does it again, and then comes straight. Yeah, more like that. And then any of like these little like pendants and jewels we'll add later. Gotta get this base stuff down first. Back to using my standard brush for fabric folds. And again, a lot of this I'll end up using Marvelous for, but today, I want to make sure I have something nice to share with you guys and get some good practice in. So for this, I want to add a very thin edge to it. I'm going to use the curved brush to do so. So we stroke frame mesh. In this case, I will likely need to add a crease. Otherwise, it's not going to quite know where to put it. So I go to my ZBrush brush, crease, edge loop, and then try that again, and it will work. Very, very small edge detail. And then come back to this main panel and subdivide a few times. Trying to think of how I'm going to construct this. Because a lot of what makes a garment look impressive or like a fun detail or fun character, it usually just has to do with like intention and looking believable in a way. When you zoom in, it's probably not going to hold up as strong, but that's rarely the point. Hey Yoni, hello! It has been a fat minute. Hope you've been doing well. I know life gets so busy, you know? But it's not about... Just anytime you come back around to your hobbies, celebrate that. Because no one sticks to it straight through. I got these ornament brushes from JRO. On ArtStation. I'm trying to see what I duplicated versus what I didn't duplicate. Okay, yes, we were good. Just getting my bearings for a second there. There we go. A for effort. Yes, exactly. We missed you around here. I've also found that it's pretty common. I have like 2 different kinds of student, or just like TAVERB peasant that kind of comes in and watches my streams. It's rare that you guys are here all year. I have my like winter and summer peasants. Those that are in school obviously disappear as the weather gets cooler. And then everyone else usually gets more active as the weather gets cooler, which I always find quite funny. My main focus right now is really just covering a lot of different assets in this one stream. I don't even know how much of this I'm even going to use, but it's a really fun exercise for me. So for all my students that are going to get these files at the end of the stream, none of these are like re-topoed or just ready to like just put in with for your character or whatever, but you definitely can kind of kit bash and kind of see when you zoom in, nothing looks that good, and that's kind of the point. Does that make sense? Oh, I hope so. If not, I can elaborate. Let me know if you have any questions. I can't help but laugh because it's just such a funny, like, such a funny pitch where I'm like, these are really helpful because they look bad. That's pretty much what I said. I think a better way to say it is that it's so common to overthink art, and there is something, you know, remarkable about really understanding each fabric fold, and that's its own artistry, and but at some point, having something down is always going to beat out having nothing. Does that make more sense? So I think by sharing these kind of like, you know, character packs that I put together in an hour, will give my students some permission to just do the thing. And it's like, well, this shirt looks terrible. I'm like, but it looks like a hell of a lot more looks like a shirt than just having no shirt at all. I think when you work quickly too, or not quickly, it's not about being a spaz, it's just about kind of working like loose. You end up finding more different little techniques that you might like later when you're trying to be slower and more intentional. It's sketching. I'm sketching in 3D. There we go. I'm like, that sounds familiar. Hey Grimnir, hello, hello. Grimnir, here wintering in the TAVERB. There we go, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Batgirl says, because them being low poly makes it easier to make your own, question mark? No, a lot of these, I mean, some of them have subdivision levels. I think I answered your question after the fact, and I saw your question late. There we go. I think another important thing is my average student, I think their biggest issue, Rackrell, you're gonna relate to this. It's not that they don't try hard enough, it's that they try too hard and then nothing gets done because they're kind of like, I mean, you've released some really cool stuff recently. Not so much you, but you do try very hard. But sometimes that can like lock you up, you know? And you never want that. Is that what I want there? Yes, that's exactly what I want. I have a friend who's a very talented artist I really look up to, and some of the best advice that she ever gave me was when I was like first learning. She asked like how long I was spending on some cape I was doing, and I'm like, I've spent like 4 hours on this. And in the most loving, gentle way, she looked at me. She was like, you could spend 10 hours and it still wouldn't look any better. And I was like, okay. At the time, I did not find it very nice. And later on, I really understood like the point. And she wasn't the best communicator, but she had a really good point. And the point essentially being that when you're first learning, more time does not mean more better, but more repetition does. Because if I have you on a project for, you know, as much time as you want to spend on it, you're very limited at how good it's going to possibly turn out. And the improvement doesn't come from, where's my Z mesh? There it is. The improvement doesn't come from hours of fatigue staring at the same project, but rather trying to troubleshoot all kinds of different projects. So the best thing you can do is kind of just move on to the next project. which can feel very counterintuitive because it's like, well, I want to try. And I'm like, it's not about not trying, but just not getting stuck. Otherwise, you'll kind of end up getting that like art fear, blank page syndrome, which I still do sometimes. And that's why I like doing these streams recently, where it's just about getting through the whole process again, getting a little bit more comfortable. I'm always amazed that by the end of it, it actually looks like a something. It always comes from a good place though. Our brains are just trying to be smart, you know? Our brains are just trying to be like, oh, I see, I am passionate, I want to be good at this. And then we go about it all wrong. It's just part of it. Rat Girl said, it took me like a month to recover creatively from my latest unrealistic standard spike. It's tough. And then you just put on the whole wrapper of other variables. I have a student who I just adore. He's in uni right now, and I don't think he's a current student right now because he only wanted to do it for the summer anyway. And I checked in with him and I was like, hey, like here's this video. It reminded me of you. I think this is helpful and stuff. And they were like, that's super helpful. Also, I got set up with medication for my depression, so I've been doing a lot better. And I'm like, there is also that. So like, there's so many other aspects. It doesn't have to just be like depression. It could be like family stress or whatever. Like there's so many variables on top of just like trying to brain. Makes stuff very complicated. And that's what I think was the most frustrating for me, because I'd have artists I really admired and they would have certain processes of doing things and I'm like, oh, I'll just do that. And then I'm like, I cannot do it this way. This is infuriating. This is not for me. That's why I can't watch a lot of tutorials, because they just drive me crazy, because it just seems like 90% of the tutorial is telling me about little features that I don't need, you know? I remember, so one of the really like funny mistakes that everybody makes in ZBrush in the beginning is they don't save their project, but they don't know it. So there is file save as, and that will save a 3D file, or you can do tool save as, and that will save a 3D file. But there's this dumb button called document that also has save as. If you save a document, you're just saving a picture of your file. And I remember the first tutorial that I was watching, because I was trying to be really diligent and good, and it was like, how to save your project in ZBrush. And they spent so much time talking about document that that's what I remembered. And I remember looking back and being so frustrated, because I was like, why are you even covering like what not to do? Like it's so confusing to learn that way. Just tell me like what to do. Obviously, as you like get put through your paces and learning anything creatively, you want to just know all the information. What not to do, what to do, tips, tricks, all kinds of cool stuff. I just find that a lot of stuff isn't actually that beginner friendly, and that can be frustrating. This is actually starting to look like something. Holy crap. Neato. I do want you guys to know that it genuinely isn't like, I don't know, an act. I am so unattached to what's in front of me. I am so attached to the process. Like that moment you guys just saw right now with the skirt, where I have this little like band at the top, and then I like bring it down right here and I expand it. I just think that is like the most delicious little series of button clicks. Like that's why I'm able to create so much, because like I like the literal mechanical process, because it takes so long to look like anything. Oh my goodness, when you're making art, it looks like shit 80% of the time. It's a very odd hobby to be a part of. That's partly why I really enjoy, you know, playing music, because at any point I can sit down at a piano and just play something beautiful. When I am learning a new song, obviously it kind of goes through the same process, but I kind of have that like locked and loaded, I can like perform. And art is just not like that. You always have to start from the beginning. Granted, that art friend I have, she's a 2D artist, so she can sit down and just sketch something stunning. And that, honestly, that's very cool. But I haven't found an equivalent of that in 3D quite yet. You're gonna have to go through the process. So I highly recommend falling in love with the process, lest it not fall in love with you. Rat Girl says in all caps, "This is the most evil thing." I talked a lot just now, but I'm 90% sure what you're responding to, and yes. Yeah. Alright, we're gonna add some fabric folds here. Just kind of get some swoosh. This especially is something that Marvelous is gonna be way, way more fun with. But I can still do it in ZBrush. And I think it's very important that you know how to do it in both softwares. I really do. I think that's essential. Because if I want to clean up fabric folds in ZBrush, I should be able to do so. All right, we're gonna duplicate this. I made it a little fluffier than I needed to. I did that on purpose because I want to have this under layer that is orange. Just like so. And if this looks really fancy, like, oh my goodness, pipe folds. It's just a standard brush. You just draw a line with the standard. I have an intensity of 33, but that's also dependent on how big your piece is in your scene. But I also know it's nice sometimes when people just give you a number and you can just put that in and see how your brush behaves. So the number right now is 33. Yeah, Rat Girl says sculpture is ugly all the way through until it isn't. Yep, exactly. Exactly. And I used to be resentful of that, again, because as I mentioned before, like I grew up playing piano. I was never like the art friend. I was the musician. You know, like there's always like each in a friend group, you all have like your thing or whatever. That was my thing, was music, not art. And if you want to be like, music is a form of art, whatever, you know what I mean? Not visual art. Anyway. And you know, it's funny because now, sometimes I feel more pressure playing piano because when I'm playing a song, it feels like there's less room for error. Like you can hear a wrong note right away. But with visual art, if it's like, it looks like shit, I'm like, well, yeah, it's not done. Stop looking at it. And I've come to like that more over the years, actually. So there, I don't know. I really hope that for you too, Rat Girl, you can kind of have that change in perspective because it took me a long time as well. It's a good one though. This is actually looking like the reference. Wow. Let's make that little scarf thingy. How long has it been? Hour and a half. Very good. So it took me about, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes to get this put together. Takes a long time before it looks like anything, doesn't it? And that's fine. Yoni says, we will make it, bruh. Yoni, we missed you. Oh, goodness. You know, it's really a mess. When you're first learning how to sculpt, you tend to sculpt everything directly onto it. So instead of having multiple pieces or multiple subtools, you will just like sculpt on a belt buckle by like scribbling material and it's all blobby and everything looks really blobby. And then eventually you learn to utilize more subtools and more pieces. Well, as I'm trying to sculpt stuff and model like mechs and stuff like that, I'm discovering that it's more of a fusion of the two, where I'm all the way back to the beginning, where I take a form and I sculpt. I use one subtool to sculpt out an entire like mechanized arm. And then I go back through and clean it up with multiple subtools. And it just cracks me up because I'm like, how am I just here again? How is this just like a big circle? Cracks me up. In Empress's most recent update, speaking of, Empress has a huge art upgrade that she's going through right now. And it was awesome. She had like a 3-part update with different projects she's working on. It was just awesome. And I could see that she's already kind of coming up against that thing that I am, which is like, oh, this is a blend of using modeling and sculpting, which is very interesting. I use too many fabric folds and it doesn't match the volumes here. There's only about 4 big fabric folds, so I need to fix that. I'm gonna increase my intensity and my brush size and just draw a big loop. There you go. Don't forget that at the end of the day, art, you really can't oversimplify it to just a big game of spot the difference, which sometimes can be more frustrating because you just feel like a little kid that can't see. See how much better, how much closer that looks to the reference than what I did before? I was kind of an autopilot. But yeah, if you ever feel like, this doesn't look the way that I want it to, and I don't know why, look at your reference. Literally just be like, okay, what's different? And if you really can't tell what's different, ask a friend, ask a mentor, and they'll be able to tell you. And if you don't have anyone like that in your life, go to the Discord. Someone would be more than happy to help you, myself included. Hey Duke, hello. Duke says, hey Mia, hope you're having a good day. The sculpt is looking great so far. Thank you, I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's coming along quick. And then Rat Girl says, when I was making bronzes, I forgot you did that too, how cool. We'd cast stuff in green wax. You'd see artists come in and be horrified to see their work in green, brought them back to the it's ugly stage. To be fair, sometimes the sculptures actually were just ugly. That's mean and really funny. Oh man. Yoni says, Empress is definitely improving a lot. She is. She is on that upward spiral. I don't know if she's still watching right now, but she'll tell you it wasn't linear though. She definitely had some pretty good crisis. She had one that was pretty good. It's not personal, I can share. She had like a 1-page write-up that she sent me, like actually like attached, like it's like a Google Doc or something. And she submitted her first project and then she explained like the emotional, like, it's very similar to like what you were going through, Rat Girl. Similar, obviously, everyone's unique. Where it's like, it's just tricky. It's just, there's something about it that's like heartbreaking and devastating where your expectations come against your reality in a way that like you understand all at once. You know, it's almost like looking up at the mountain, like the fog clears and you look up and you see how far you have to go and you're like, fuck. And she was like, I felt bad for about 3 days, maybe more. I think she like mentioned she like treats, watched movies, kind of like recovered, and then came back at it. And ever since she's come back at it, it has just been the craziest upward spiral ever. Which good for her because I had to do the crash a few times before up. I mean, that's just part of art, I think, honestly. I'm not a very emotional person. So the fact that art just seems to be this very sensitive thing where if I'm not feeling my best, I can't create very much, drives me crazy. I don't really experience that with anything else in my life. Like it doesn't matter if I feel like shit if I'm taking care of like the house or like barn chores. This is ridiculous. Pardon my French. But like I can shovel horse shit even if I feel like shit. Like it doesn't matter. Like I can still muck the pasture, it's fine. But if I feel like shit, it's very hard to create art. Like it is so difficult. That's something that I'm still working on. And it's especially weird when you start making money with art and you have this added pressure of like, well, I have to, create still. Luckily, that really hasn't been much of an issue because of the way that I kind of like optimize my process. Then I have, like my husband does this with me too. So that fortunately has not been an issue. Ooh, I should have these weave in and out of each other. How cool would that be? Like a little basket detail back here. We'll have this one on top. That one goes underneath. This one will go on top, but underneath the other one. Little details like this I find really come a long way. Oh, why is this difficult? Why is this harder than expected? I think I did it. Yeah, that's cool. That's a nice little detail. I haven't even added any texture on that yet, or buttons or good stuff. I like it. Yoni says, I feel it, to be honest. It's hard to make something if I don't feel good. It really is. I want to add some sort of trim to this. So I'm going to duplicate it, delete lower, and then I'm going to see if I can just put like a curve tube on it and then make this like a ruffle. I don't really have a plan right now. I just think this would be fun and I think I can try it. So I'm going to scribble on this edge. Oh, I didn't have symmetry on. Sad. I'm going to do it again using that curve brush. And I've got this kind of scribbled thing here. Do I hear the lawnmower? I think my husband's mowing the lawn. He's been great. He's been too good recently. And it's not like in a suspicious way, but in a way that I like to joke and call like husband debt. Where I'm like, you're being too wonderful. Relax. I don't know. I didn't articulate that very well. Don't worry about it. Duke says, that's kind of how I feel about going to work. I work in an office by myself. I can feel like shit and make money. Right? Sometimes that's, I wouldn't say sometimes. I think that's a guarantee, like that happens to everyone and it has to. And like the more you can kind of have a neutral attitude about that, that's good. Good on you. All right, I'm gonna try to make like ruffles on this. So I'm gonna turn off my tablet so there's no pressure sensitivity, and I'm gonna try to scribble ruffles on this. And I don't know if this is gonna work because this is such a ridiculous shape, but I used a similar technique and I feel like this might work. Okay, I'm gonna invert the mask and I'm going to make it larger. I feel like it kind of worked. Kind of. I mean, right? That's something. I should have done, or I could have done, a thicker line would have given me a better result. But you know what? I'm okay with that. Okay, that's kind of interesting. If I layered a bunch of these up, it actually might look really good. So let me duplicate it, make it a little bit smaller. Yeah, see? Oh, that's cool. I've used this technique before, but not quite like this. Heck yeah. Rackrell says, yeah, I can hear a little buzzing sound. Oh, there's Ricky. That's the neighbors. There you are. Very good. Yoni says, I definitely want to be in a level where I can make commissions through art. If your goal is to make money, might I interest you in something more like cults? I think commissions are interesting because they will force you to sculpt stuff and create stuff that you just wouldn't otherwise, right? I have met very few I don't know any artists that actually enjoy commission work genuinely, not long term. So just keep that in mind. I'm not, that feels like such a downer for no reason. That's a great goal. There's nothing wrong with that. Clients are kind of shitty, and that will always be annoying. They will bring the work aspect into your art sometimes, and that can be frustrating. That's what I'm trying to say. There we go. I got this glove. I'm gonna subdivide a few times, and then I want to create like some panel on top. So I'm just gonna make it really simple. Let's just mask out a piece. Doesn't have to be some crazy complicated thing. I'm gonna smooth it and then harden the edges to get a better shape. I don't mind that's a little bit wobbly actually because it's made of leather. There we go. And then we will come through with Dam Standard and kind of create those seams. Just like so. The best way to make something look like gloves is simply to add seams. That's it. Look at those little fingers, run through some seams. It doesn't even have to be perfect. Think of like, you know, like a beautiful painting or a beautiful drawing of like, I don't know, a woman with long hair. They don't draw every single strand of hair, and that's kind of what I'm doing here, where it's like, you get the idea across. I think it'd be nice if there were some like stitches or something. This is something that I actually do think would be worth spending a little bit more time on, potentially. But I also like the beauty of this just being kind of a quick little thing. So I'm using the curve brush again right here. Every time I say that, I feel like I'm tormenting Rackrell. I'm not. It's a good brush, and I believe in you. You've got this. Because I'm always like, my favorite brush, the curved brush, after Rackrell's like, I hate curved brushes, they hurt my feelings. Oh gosh. Especially, there's nothing more frustrating than having trouble with something and then watching someone not have trouble with it. No, maybe I have just a horrible attitude. I don't know. We're making little stitches. And they're not very symmetrical, but they're mine. I made a little something. We're gonna inflate them a touch and make them a little bit darker for contrast. That wasn't any different. That was the exact same color. There we go. And then we're gonna mirror and weld. Oh, no we're not. We're gonna mirror the other way. And eventually I'm gonna make this whole thing in Marvelous. Today just wasn't that day because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I was happy to share what I didn't know and what I did know in Marvelous. But at the end of the day, I do actually want to show you guys how to make something on stream. Speaking of, you guys have any like detailed questions or whatever, please, please, please ask. This by no means is meant to be like a tutorial, but you should be able to follow along with the techniques that I'm using. Oh, I like this little band thing. That's cool. Yeah, I like that. How cool is that? Rackrell, no, you're right. How dare you wrangle the spaghetti? That's a good TAVERB quote. Oh, goodness. The ends magnet together when I don't want to. Sometimes they're locked in place. Other times they rotate instead of drag. Rotating would be because the 3D gizmo is up. What you're talking about, I know what you're talking about. I know you're not a student anymore, but I don't care. You're getting to learn. So when you click and drag, the menace that's getting you is this line. See this black and white, like gray line? If this is active, if that's visible at any point, that means that this curve is editable and doesn't actually exist. The way you stop that is you click somewhere on your mesh. Isn't that weird? It's so unintuitive. I do understand the frustration, I really do. So if I draw like this big line like this, and if I click anywhere near it, it'll continue sometimes, other times it will move. If you get too close to it, it will actually continue the line. If you change your draw size and click on it, it will completely change size. You have to click on your mesh, not on the canvas, on your mesh. That's the big thing, which can be really difficult when you're dealing on a model that's this big, because sometimes it's really hard to see, but that is the issue. Oh, and the other one that can also make it a huge variable just give a look at under picker. Just give it a look and see if you have once Z, continuous Z, which one of these is highlighted, because that will change the behavior immensely. If you have once Z on, it will only touch the mesh in one spot. But if you have continuous Z on, it will stick onto the mesh. See how it's like stuck to it? Yeah. Just a little bit there. I know you're practicing and learning and improving, but obviously, I want to see you grow. So, you've been learned a little bit. All right. I did everything but the shoes. But I don't hate shoes. I'm growing. I still think that when you guys hear me say cheesy stuff like that, I'm like, I don't hate shoes. It's the same energy as like, what is it? Like those like daily affirmations and stuff. I knew this girl in college that was like so like crystal girly, astrology. I think all of this stuff is complete bullshit, but I could not deny that she was way happier than I was. So because of her, I have slowly implemented things like this into my life, and god damn it, if it doesn't work, if you're a little nicer to yourself, it just feels so ridiculous. It really does. It feels like I'm putting on my happy hat. Now I'm nice to myself. I swear to God. It works. It works in doses. Small doses. Anyway, shoes are fun. This is my shoe positivity. I am going to try something a little different. Usually I sculpt shoes in a much more like a modeling capacity. I'm going to try using a bunch of spheres, the way that I would sculpt like a creature, but still respecting the different pieces of the shoe. So like the toe, the sole, the heel, that kind of stuff. I think that might be an interesting approach. It's a little different for me. It looks like those, like, from Holland, Dutch. I'm Dutch, I should know what that is. Anyway, the shoes, clogs. I guess I'm not like Dutch, I'm German. No, I'm both. Everyone's mini things. All right. We're gonna make the sole of the shoe now. So I think it's easiest to flip over the model when you're making the sole. Kind of scoot that over. Scoot that into place. Put this way too far out. I also want her to have a high heel, and I don't really know how to do that without following a shoe shape or a foot shape. So let's just pose her foot, and then I can kind of build a high heel off of that. Whenever you're posing a foot, just keep in mind there's kind of like 3 sections. You have the heel. I knew that was happening. I was like, this gizmo's behaving oddly. There we go. Anyway, for a foot, you have the heel, you have like the bridge of the foot, and then you have the toes. You can kind of break them into 3 sections. So here's the heel. I'm gonna bend there a lot, and then I'm gonna grab just the toe section here at the end of the bridge, and then bend that back up. And that's like a really rough, there you go, you have a posed foot. You'll need to kind of scoot that over and then kind of smooth. But not too much, because then you don't have bones. And that's a different problem. There we go. And if you're like, that looks really broken. Yeah, it's a little broken, but honestly, look up feet and high heels, or go stand on your toes right now. It's weird. So now, I'm actually gonna, because I knew I wanted to make like a high heel, and I was like, huh, I'm making this really hard on myself by trying to sculpt a high heel on a foot that's not high heel shape. There we go. That's looking better. And kind of duplicate this. Have a funny little thing here. Delete pieces as I don't need them. This is the dumbest looking little, nope, positive vibes. This shoe looks more like a shoe than if nothing was here. This is more than I could have done when I first started learning. Oh, another confusing thing is that your shoes really push your toes together too. So if you need to squish toes out of the way when you're sculpting shoes, that's totally normal because that's what your shoes do to your feet. It's actually looking like a thing. It's happening. Something that might have been easier is actually just masking the foot, which is what I normally do, but I kind of just want to try just moving around a blob. I never do that. And then I can use my curved brush to kind of grab some straps. Because why not? Blobs. Looks better than having nothing there. All right, what I actually wanted though was to have like high-heeled boots. So I do need to create that shape. And to do that, I will select the body and kind of like create a sock. Where does the pant end? Right here. Draw a little line there, like a construction point, kind of wrap around. I do like to avoid the toes because they create all kinds of like funny topology. There we go, inflate that. We now got these brown boots kind of coming into existence. And I can kind of pinch the pants to fit a little bit better. The big thing is you just don't want to shrink them so much to where the legs don't make sense anymore. This is so funny looking. But I can't deny that it is looking like a thing. Come on, turn on symmetry. There you go. Sater says high heels, bras, G-strings, weapons of the patriarchy. Welcome back, Sater. I like it. Oh my goodness. Ratgirl says thank you for the freebie. Of course, you're very welcome. And then many years of confusing inter-European colonial drama going into making that distinction confusing. Shit, what did I say? It's fun not knowing, actually. All fantasy creatures and people wear blob-like clogs, that's what it was. Yes, yes. Where we're going, we don't need bones. Oh my gosh. Ratgirl, your energy today is just very good. Very good. We are going to Z-mesh the top of these boots to distract from how blobby the rest of it looks. It's like you won't even know if I just make any of this look a little cleaner. And we're gonna do that same trick from before, where we just make laces, and it doesn't matter if they don't look quite right, because just having them at all makes the model look better. So draw a line, drag, click, draw a line, click. I didn't put these in the right spot. There we go. And now the other way. Why is it so hard to draw next? If you notice, you're like, wow, it's really crooked on one side. Yeah, they are. Also, I just take my move brush afterwards and I just scoop them into the model. And I find that makes my life really easy instead of trying to make them perfect every time. Again, everyone has different creative processes. I just find it's a lot easier to just make the thing and then clean it up after the fact. I do take that a little bit to an extreme. I think it can look exceptionally ugly, and I'm like, don't worry about it. It's all gonna be fine. Do I have 2 sets of laces? No, I don't. Then why are you not changing colors? What's with you? I have like super laces and they're defiant. So I have brown selected. I go to fill object, nothing happens. Why? Oh, my RGB intensity is 6. We did it. All right, we just hit the 2-hour mark of the stream. And I'd say we covered a lot today. We did a lot of, you know, dicking around and Marvelous. And then we also made this pretty thing. I didn't do any filigree. I've told you guys before not to be afraid of filigree. You're supposed to do it before fabric folds, but I forgot. So I'm gonna just do some really quick right now. Make sure I turn on lazy radius. And the big thing with filigree, you just want to determine what direction it's going. Right now I know I want to go up this direction, which means it's going to taper. Just draw like a triangle. What direction is it going? That way. Smaller as I go up. This skirt right now reminds me of Anna from Frozen. It just does. And I'm making it quite large and dramatic here because, dude, most of my stuff, all my stuff, what am I talking about, is for 3D printing. Most of my stuff is for 3D printing. Literally all of it. That's my business. It's the end of the stream. There we go. Just did some swirls. Inflate them. If you want to be extra, you can even paint them a color. I don't love that. We're going to make them green. They're just so thick. I don't like them. I'm going to do it again. Like, yeah, it's for 3D printing, but like, it doesn't have to look like that. There we go. I really think the key to filigree is just not overthinking it. The more you try to like really plan every single stroke, the more it doesn't look very nice. You also have to do a lot of it. That's also part of it. Isn't that just the truth with anything though? It's like, well, have you practiced it 500 times? Well, then of course it sucks. And it's like, okay, I guess. I do think maybe just a darker green would look nice. Yeah. All right, we're gonna add a little bit of color, a little bit of shadow here and there using backface mask and drag rectangle. And then I didn't name literally anything because this was just like a chaos sculpt, but that's not very helpful for my students. So I'm gonna merge these pieces down in a way that's actually usable for you guys. I'm gonna have all the ornaments as one piece and call them very helpful. Ornament. Those who have been following a long time know that I do not name my subtools or organize them. So we're gonna do a better job. We'll have these shoulder things. Shoulder piece. Sater says, yeah, I've been in and out, fun times. At least y'all were able to break free of the daily burden of corsets. They're so pretty though. Rack Girl says, lesson learned. Always talk directly to the streamer and make attention-seeking quips. Got it. You're speaking. Yep, there's Sater. Can't confirm. Confirm even. Burst into flames. Jesus Christ. Nerds. Alright. It's been nice being back in the TAVERB. You guys are so much fun. Gloves. So yeah, a lot of these pieces are not gonna have subdivision levels. More than usual, the sculpt today was kind of just like this fun sketch thing, as opposed to like, oh, here are asset ready pieces to use. But that's why I like the beauty of it is pairing it with the stream. So you can see like, how the heck did Mia even sculpt this? And you can be like, oh, I see, she did it that way. That's really what it's about more than anything. Speaking of, if you are one of my students and you're watching in the future right now, hello, that's trippy. And if you were watching and you were still confused about how I did something, just pop in the Discord and be like, hey, what the heck? What was this? And I'd be more than happy to clarify. All right, we're almost done naming everything. There we go. Rat Girl says, the flames were because you don't name your subtools. Yeah, I don't. I don't have anything else to say about that. It's just, I don't. The only reason I started naming my subtools is one, because if I don't, it explodes Character Creator 4 because everything has the same name reference. So obviously it explodes. And then the second reason is because now I am sharing these pieces with my students, and obviously that's not helpful for them either. I call this a cape skirt. I don't know. We'll go with skirt and then underskirt. All right, almost done. And just in case you guys doubted it, here's my screen. Look, everything's named. Wow. I'm even gonna order it. So like the shirts at the top, then the shoulders. Crazy. Well, that was fun. I say that was a huge success. Oh my goodness, I feel like I haven't zoomed out. Oh, there was that cool collar thing that I didn't make. Whatever. Anyway, this was fun. If you guys have any last minute questions, please, please, please ask. Now is the time. Especially to me students I have that are being shy. You guys are dorks. I definitely have students that are just like, will just suffer in silence. Please don't. Please ask questions. No question is too basic, okay? This looks quite fancy. Oh, I'm just so happy looking at like the reference versus what we made, and I'm like, damn, I like did the thing. And honestly, if you look at each individual piece, it doesn't look that good. And that's not even like a weird self-neg. Like, no, nothing's very polished. I did this in freaking 45 minutes. It's just to do the thing. Whatever. I know Aloha's like in the background, like she's doing the thing. Cause like I really needed to do streams like this where I can just like share concept and not polish on stream. There's something that's so stressful about polishing on stream. I don't know why. But creating, oh, it just brings me so much joy. I love sharing that with you guys. Oh, very true. Rat Girl says, thanks for the stream. The color can totally work as a starter for another. What I've been doing, Rat Girl, is I'm actually going to just do, my whole hope is to do like a whole block out like this every stream. So, oh my god, thanks for that, monkey. Anyway, so on Friday, we're going to do an armor set, which is hysterical because that in 2 hours is not possible. So there's going to be some really fun fuckery that has to happen there, and I can't wait to see what I do because any of this in a couple hours is not realistic, and that's kind of the beauty of it. All right. Oh, speaking of, if you guys go down to 3D modeling, there's a new channel called M3DM Student Library. If you can't see that channel, it's because you do not have the M3DM mentorship role. You can either get that role by joining Patreon and paying $30 a month, or beg. Just kidding. Only beg if you are paying and it did not give you the role for some reason. Like Empress, it doesn't want to give her the role, so I'll give it to you manually. Okay, goodness. I think that's everything. Grimnir says, that is a crazy amount of progress for 45 minutes. Lol, it looks great. Oh, thank you so much. Again, if you look at things up close, meh. But that's the beauty of it, right? Just get her done. Oh, goodness. Thank you, guys. And then Just Single said, my question in the DM Discord chat is unrelated to today's stream. Okay, no worry. And yeah, I'll be saving this. Oh, there's Yoni. Please, I'm begging. Please, Mia. Honestly, Yoni, yeah, you've been a student before. If you can't afford it right now, that's fine. Because I know at the end there you paid, but you weren't like using all the rewards because, you know, you got busy or procrastinated. I don't really care. I understand what happened. But yeah, I can give it to you for in the spirit of October. I was mostly joking about begging, but yeah, no, you're good. Do you already have the role? I'm gonna make fun of you if you already have the role. Anyway, you will have access to that channel, Yoni, and you will be able to download this character pack. Again, it's not like 3D print ready or anything like that. Actually, everything on this is 3D printable. It's not very customizable because I don't have all the subdivision levels, but you can like see the general construction and that kind of goodness. Okay, let me do a little spin around. And thank you guys for hanging out with me today. It was an absolute delight. The streams have evolved so much over the last year, and I always get nervous when I kind of change things up because I'm like, oh, are they gonna like it? And you guys are always like, cool, more art. So thanks for being awesome. I really appreciate it. You're like, oh, I was joking. No, I knew you were joking, and that was like partly why. I was like, oh, you deserve it. You're good. What would make this look the best? Probably like, why is it so hard to showcase your art? Fellow artists, right? Like you make the thing and now you're like, fuck, someone come render this for me. I don't know what looks good. There's a front and a back. Art. All right. Oh, I forgot to do this last time, which is a screenshot and signature smile. Alrighty, we're doing a screenshot for Discord later. Smile. Perfect. Amazing. All right, y'all. I will see you Friday. If you're interested, again, learning, Patreon, whatever, there's always links in the description. All right. I'll see you guys on Friday, okay? Take care and bye.